Welcome back to another episode of Decrypting Crypto with Derek E. Silva. Today, we're going to talk about smart contracts, what they are, what they're good for, what smart contracts are being used for today, and more. So in the previous video, you learned what a blockchain is. If you haven't watched it yet, click here. We'll take you there, and then you can come back to this video. To summarize it quickly, though, a blockchain is a technology where the information is stored in blocks that are sequentially generated and stored on all the computers that are connected to the network at the same time. Any kind of asset can be tracked down and permanently stored on a blockchain because of its consensus mechanism. All the members connected to that network share the same information, and everyone can see the end-to-end transactions, enforcing immutability. The process of allowing complex transactions to happen on a blockchain is referred to as a smart contract. Just like a regular contract, a smart contract is a set of conditions written in an agreement between two or more parties, but implemented on a blockchain. Whenever the conditions are met, the agreement is automatically executed on the blockchain without anyone else's interference or involvement needed. Unlike written contracts, smart contracts are intangible and immutable. Therefore, if a transaction is executed, it cannot be reversed, just as data stored on a blockchain cannot be modified. In a simpler analogy, let's talk about Jose and Mariana. Jose wants to transfer a large amount of money to Mariana, who lives in a different country, or she just uses a different bank. Jose has to go to the bank, wait in line for a representative, fill out a form or instruct the representative on what he's trying to do, pay an exorbitant fee, and be able to provide Mariana's bank account details. This process takes up precious time, and sending the funds can take several days before they reach Mariana's bank account. With recent advances in the banking system, Jose can probably do this on his bank's website or mobile app, which can reduce the time spent. However, it still takes 1 to 2 days for the transaction to complete. The bank, as an intermediary, charges a fee, and the identities of both parties need to be disclosed to the bank on both sides of the transaction. Moreover, exchange rates for the currencies incurs additional costs, often to the tune of multiple percentage points. Since blockchain tokens are global in nature, if Jose chooses to transfer funds directly to Mariana, he can instead transfer in the form of a blockchain token such as USDC on the Ethereum blockchain. The blockchain acts as the intermediary for this transaction and executes the token contract, in this case transferring X number of USDC to Mariana's wallet directly. Jose pays the network fee, which is much smaller than the fee the bank charges, and Mariana receives the exact amount of USDC regardless of where she is. There is no conversion rate for Mariana, and neither party has to wait days for the transaction to settle. In less than 2 minutes, it's done, and she has the money. So, how do they work? A smart contract consists of a set of rules or a complex framework that is designed to overcome all the exceptions and resolve all disputes. The rules are commonly made up of if-then or if-else-then statements, which are commonly used by programmers depending on the participants and how the rules are formed. For the same example we considered earlier, let's say that the primary conditions determined to transfer ETH from Jose's wallet to Mariana's are set to the following. 1. If Jose has more than X number of ETH tokens in their wallet, and 2. If Jose is agreeing to pay the network fee. Then the transaction occurs only when Jose has more than X amount of ETH, let's say 2 ETH, and pays the network fee. Once the transaction is approved, the data is permanently stored on the network and can be traced back at any time in the given future. Here, the blockchain network acts as the intermediary and charges the network fee in order to perform the transaction. The network fees will go to the contributors who are keeping the network secured and validating the transactions. In most cases, these are validators and perhaps some delegators delegating to those validators. Smart contracts can get complex when they are being implemented for much bigger frameworks, such as decentralized exchanges, automated market makers, where people can trade different cryptocurrencies, and staking to secure networks or protocols and earn tokens in exchange. To simplify this, most developers rely on creating simple web layouts, integrating online tools for wallets, and custom APIs for third-party applications. So, how do you write a smart contract? While by now it may not come as a surprise to learn that smart contracts are created using programming, using code. The best thing about them is that anyone can write a smart contract that can do a simple pay to a person or pay to a wallet transaction. The scary part is that if the contract isn't written with an extent of consideration, it could be exploited and the assets could be stolen. Bitcoin was launched using a simple script language that doesn't have any loops. In technical terms, this language is not Turing complete. This means it cannot perform data manipulation from external sources in order to solve a problem. The data executed on the Bitcoin blockchain is stored in a stack, and there's a list of commands, functions, or opcodes that you can use. The lack of logical loops has prevented the Bitcoin network from several malicious attacks that other networks encounter from time to time. There are different types of smart contracts written on the Bitcoin network, such as time lock, P2SH, and Taproot. They are limited to the network speed and runtime. The additional layers that support the Bitcoin network as a second layer or a sidechain enable trustless payments and other more complex functions almost instantaneously and at low prices. The Lightning Network acts as a second layer to Bitcoin, routing payments to different users and rewards them for every approval. Although Ethereum began its development with low-level languages, the ecosystem has developed into developer-friendly languages such as Solidity and Viper. And experienced developers can also use Yule, which is a direct programming language for the Ethereum virtual machine. Cardano, which is another proof-of-stake blockchain, uses Plutus, which is similar to Haskell. If you don't know what any of those mean, unless you're getting ready to write a smart contract tomorrow, don't worry about it. So despite a few blockchains having specific programming languages to write smart contracts, most of them also support Solidity, Rust, JavaScript, and WebAssembly, among others. Developers typically choose a programming language based on its upsides and its downsides for the particular task, while taking a blockchain scalability, data distribution, consensus mechanism, and data encryption into account. If you are a new developer and thinking about learning how to write smart contracts, we have linked a few free resources in the description. Smart contracts are the main reason for the expansion of blockchain technology into a wide range of applications where they're being used. One of those use cases is DeFi, with a total value locked, or TVL, of more than $45 billion at the time of recording this video. Decentralized finance, abbreviated to DeFi, is one of the biggest areas where smart contracts are being used at the moment. DeFi has become a formidable alternative for many people around the world where trustless lending, borrowing, and trading activities are being performed on a daily basis. More than 1.7 billion people who are unbanked can reap the benefits by using DeFi services, according to research from Algorand. With billions of dollars worth of transactions on a daily basis, DeFi is not only generating revenue for the liquidity providers and users, but also for the developers of these protocols through the token economics at play. This has the added benefit of generating more demand for the underlying blockchain's token, which often can also be staked in a DeFi protocol to help secure the protocol and the blockchain itself, generating additional yield. They are replacing escrow services and reducing the friction that incurs because of manual approvals. It's just that much easier. Top decentralized exchanges, or DEXs, like Uniswap, Sushi, and PancakeSwap, are allowing users to trade and stake tokens instantaneously in a permissionless manner and without the need to verify their identity. More advanced DEXs, such as DYDX and Radium, enable people to place limit orders and stop-loss orders that are very similar to what you see on centralized exchanges or traditional stock trading platforms. Additionally, the transaction fees are very low compared to centralized exchanges, which usually charge in the range of 0.5% to 2%. Another important application that smart contracts are enabling is NFTs. When non-fungible tokens, sometimes referred to as digital collectibles, are minted by a smart contract, they ensure the transfer or resale along with the ownership of that token. The smart contract verifies if the account holder who initiated the transaction has the authority and the authorized amount of assets to perform the transaction without the need of an intermediary. Also, they preserve the non-fungible nature of the NFT by ensuring that it can't be replicated across multiple owners. Over the past few years, several decentralized marketplaces, centralized marketplaces, and gaming platforms have been built using sophisticated frameworks and smart contracts. OpenSea is the biggest marketplace right now, which supports several blockchains and a wide range of artwork from all over the world with varying use cases. Over the past few years, some real estate companies have begun replacing the structure of their traditional contracts with smart contracts. Different types of rental or ownership contracts have been developed and put into use by these firms to facilitate peer-to-peer transactions. A company called Smart Realty has programmed smart contract agreements for their users who are in search of renting or buying a property. These contracts include, but are not limited to, payment deadlines, contract duration, recurring deposits, and even security deposits. Propy Inc., a company from California, is using smart contracts to streamline real estate transactions in order to make the whole process of buying a property more smooth. They are also the first firm to complete a smart contract-powered real estate transaction, enabling somebody to buy a property in Ukraine back in 2017. Realty, R-E-A-L-T, fractionalizes ownership in hundreds of properties across the United States, allowing non-accredited global investors to purchase fractions of these rental homes and buildings and earn a portion of the rent paid proportional to the number of tokens owned in each property. Rent payments are dispersed weekly to each token owner, along with an email report. Finally, Property Club allows users to buy a property with either Bitcoin or their own token, PPC. They also reward users who are listing properties on their website. There are more that we haven't mentioned, including Lofty, Landshare, Solid Block, and others. Real estate companies are using smart contracts to tokenize properties and allowing users to purchase effortlessly instead of spending hours negotiating and filling out piles of paperwork. Overall, by enabling simplified interfaces and using innovative tools like smart contracts, the real estate sector is saving hours and hours of manual labor for the parties involved. Finally, governments and legal industries are recognizing the advantages of using blockchain technology and are embracing it to benefit their citizens and their clients, respectively. Recently, the government of California approved the state to use to perform record keeping using blockchain technology in the distribution of birth, death, and marriage records for their citizens. In the Senate statement, the California Senate statement to CoinDesk, they said that this will save time and resources for their citizens and also increase security. The state of Arizona in the US almost unanimously voted for the legalization of blockchain technology to recognize the data stored in a blockchain as legal, and people can sign using blockchain smart contracts and have those legally verified in court. This opens up the doors for many judicial contracts to use blockchain as the data storage layer and keep the records easily verifiable without allowing anyone to manipulate or hack into it to change the information. Legal contracts have many complex frameworks that need to be prepared for a variety of scenarios. This makes smart contract framework design complex and challenging as well, especially to find smart contract developers with legal backgrounds or legal firms who have development talent. So far, most legal-related smart contracts are limited to standardized ones that process the simplest or highly formulaic transactions, like real estate. This leaves a lot of room for the development of smart contracts where legal advisors and developers can work together on more complex ones. Smart contracts are also laying the foundations for many new applications, such as decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs, which follow a corporate structure but conduct all activities on the blockchain via smart contracts with incentive-centric and democratic governance policies for each project. It's evident that smart contracts are gaining significance in many areas, but they still need to overcome important challenges to gain mainstream adoption. Those are they include transaction costs. The transaction costs on a blockchain can be highly variable depending upon the activity at the time of the transaction. Writing smart contracts on legacy networks can demand higher fees and often, therefore, questions about economic sustainability. The latest generation of blockchains are now capable of being more than 1,000 times faster than the first generation ones without needing any additional hard forks or major upgrades. The newest consensus mechanisms and blockchain designs can enable up to 50,000 transactions per second. And that's compared to Visa, the payment network, which can process up to 24,000 transactions per second and is the leading financial payment system. However, the number of users using blockchain technology is not even 1% of the population that is using Visa right now. Therefore, it's important for smart contracts and blockchain developers to consider scalability and affordability as they continue to evolve the technology. Smart contracts also need to be carefully designed with practically zero bugs and loopholes. A lot of DeFi platforms do have higher risks of getting exploited and often are not as secure as the underlying blockchain code itself. And therefore, any vulnerabilities can be exposed and allow hackers to easily crack the project and steal potentially millions of dollars. Therefore, you see multiple code auditing firms and often multiple code audits for a single smart contract, and those are necessary on a frequent basis and anytime you make any significant changes. Integrating the advances happening in artificial intelligence and Internet of Things with blockchain technology can enhance applications in many areas, such as healthcare, manufacturing, and automation. Tracking and identity verification can be improved to be much smarter with faster response times and enabled with industry standards for interoperability. The involvement of smart contracts and tokenization in gaming has already inspired hundreds of gaming projects and metaverse platforms to pop up recently. This has attracted a lot of users to use mobile apps and decentralized apps to start improving their habits around exercise, learning, even sleeping, and get rewarded with tokens. Although a majority of these platforms are still in what you might consider a beta phase and rewarding tokens that don't have value outside their applications, the innovative structures are attracting gaming professionals, developers, and designers to build platforms with stronger fundamentals, gorgeous user interfaces, and far better user experiences. In a nutshell, smart contracts might hold the key to a better future for many, and they can significantly change and improve our interaction with the digital world. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time on Decrypting Crypto with Derek E. Silva.